Hello everyone and welcome back to the 100 Movie Marathon. Today I'm talking about an all-time classic film, y'all, circa 1955, starring James Dean, one of the most iconic movie stars of all time. Rebel Without a Cause is number 80. Rebel Without a Cause covers the story of teenager Jim Stark, played by James Dean, after his parents move him to Los Angeles. It's clear in the beginning of the film that Jim is sort of lost in life as we find him at a police station for public intoxication. He's constantly fighting with his parents and has a father who won't stand up to his mother in regard to Jim. Jim lacks a certain foundation that is absolutely critical to teenagers and just kids growing up. He feels like his father doesn't have a backbone. He's being put in a weird environment. His mother picks on him. He gets picked up by the police. He's lost. As we find Jim in this lonely place, the movie follows him as he sparks a romance with Judy, played by Natalie Wood, and creates a sort of weird father-son friendship with Plato, played by Sal Mineo. All while confronting bullies at school that pull a knife on him. Man, school fights in the 50s were different. Something that I love about this movie is its themes that stretch across all of time and make the character of Jim relatable for any teenager, regardless of you being a teenager in the 50s, now in the 2020s. Everyone has been in Jim's shoes or has felt something similar to what he experiences in this movie. I feel like most kids have felt that sort of feeling of no direction at one point in life, and James Dean portrays it exceptionally well. And I gotta talk about James Dean for a little bit. This guy is absolutely incredible in the role. It's one of my favorite performances of all time. And if you don't know who James Dean is, he is someone that was so good at his craft that he did 3 movies before he tragically passed away, and he is still fondly remembered today. How long has it been? 60 years later. 70, almost 70 years later now. He was nominated for 2 Oscars, and man, it's just a tragic story because you think about what all this guy could have done had he not passed away at the age of 24. Like I said before, he was nominated for 2 Oscars from his 3 performances. Rebel Without a Cause is the one that he wasn't nominated for, which is weird to me because I feel like it's his best performance. And he just has so many iconic scenes in this movie, such as the "You're Tearing Me Apart" scene, the confrontation with his father whenever he's placed on the stairs, and the angle of the camera kind of becomes, what is it, like a Dutch angle? All of his scenes at the Griffith Observatory are amazing, and just in general, his look in the film is simply iconic. Whenever you see videos or photos of James Dean, you think of him being from Rebel Without a Cause. And in a way, I feel like James Dean kind of molded what our idea of the 1950s teenager is today. All from this one performance, y'all. This guy was amazing in the movie, and he is simply iconic. Something else I love about this movie is just the way it was shot. The cinematography is absolutely excellent in displaying all the themes that they wanted to here. I gotta go back to the scene with the confrontation between James Dean and his father, where they decide to take the approach of a Dutch angle, displaying the power dynamics in that situation. All of the shots that decide to hold on James Dean while other people are talking, making it clear that he is the focus, not the other characters. You are supposed to connect with Jim as all the other characters are talking. You're supposed to be feeling what he feels. And James Dean, again, is just excellent at playing off of all of the different lines in this movie that he's not even saying. He's acting whenever the other people are supposed to be acting. And that's a sign of just a very intelligent performer, one that doesn't need to just act whenever he is expressing his lines or saying his lines, the one that can react to everything else that's being said is incredible, and it was absolutely pivotal in this movie. I also love that this movie was shot on location. Los Angeles truly feels like a character in this movie, which is something that a lot of the other films attempt. You know, they try to make the city in which the movies taking place feel like a character here. Some movies are able to pull it off, such as, Manhattan with New York, Ocean's 11 with Las Vegas, but many others fail. This movie really embodies LA to me. And back whenever I finally got to see the Griffith Observatory back in 2017, I was just walking around thinking of these iconic scenes filmed right here. But then just in general, my favorite part about this movie is just all of the themes that it explores. I love that it covers how rebelling as a teenager does not necessarily make you a bad person. In fact, a lot of times it's just the product of your environment, and how on the surface, a character like Jim Stark can come across as just a rebel without a cause. But really, he's only a rebel because he doesn't have a purpose. He doesn't have a direction. He's a kid. He needs his parents to give him a solid foundation that he's just not being given. And how he's getting picked on, and it's leading to the things that he does. I also love that this movie covers the importance of parents in a child's life, and how, in a weird way, Jim kind of becomes a fantastic father to Sal Mineo's character. Even though they're both teenagers, they're friends, he kind of becomes a weird father figure, and how his experience taught him how to be a good father to his friend. It's really interesting, and I love that the movie kind of goes there. And this movie also isn't afraid to cover what can happen whenever authority tries to knock a kid down whenever they're kind of just rebelling, which is clear foreshadowing to what happens to Sal Mineo's character. I don't want to give any spoilers in case you haven't watched it, but Sal Mineo is great in displaying all the themes that his character represents. This movie also shows how dangerous pride can be, particularly in a scene where Jim has to play a game of chicken with one of his bullies that leads to the bully falling off a cliff in his car, and just how sometimes things get taken way too far. This movie's sort of like Catcher in the Rye in how it tells the story of a troubled teenager. Very different stories, but still. It doesn't really sugarcoat it, and even though it came out in 1955, it's still an important movie to watch and holds up very well. It gives valuable lessons, and James Dean gives a performance that truly moves across time and shows you how good he was and how incredible he would have been for the industry had he not tragically passed away. This movie is an all-time classic. I know some people don't want to go back and watch older films, but I truly believe the themes that this film covers stretch across time, and a lot of people can find a way to relate to Jim Stark. It's gorgeous to watch, its themes are outstanding, the performances are great. There's nothing to hate about this movie. Simply a classic that belonged on the 100 Movie Marathon. I'm glad that I was able to put it in the list. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the 100 Movie Marathon, and if you liked this video, consider subscribing for more. We got plenty more on this list to cover, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, y'all.